Hey, I know this might come as a surprise that this is happening, that I'm putting something out there on this channel, on this show, but here I am. And here's the beginning. When I first wanted to do this 2 years back, and I was committed in a sense that I wanted it to happen, but I didn't want to make it happen enough, at least. I've always wanted to do something like this. And when I sat down 2 years ago and first started doing this, I was serious about it for sure, like I said, but I didn't try hard enough to make it happen. I didn't put myself out there enough. I kind of put my faith in other people enough, too much, to the point where they would say, oh, I'd love to be on your podcast. Let's do it this day. Well, I wasn't really being the guy that I needed to be. The person saying, I'm doing this, with or without you. If you want to come on, that's great. I'll make it happen. I'll give you when I'm free. And if we can line up our schedules to make that happen, amazing. But I'm doing this with or without you. And that's not directed towards anyone at all. When I say that, it's, except for myself. I'm the only one who can make this happen. No one else. And, I knew that deep down, but I never really just acted on it. I never had that drive. And that's what caused it to never happen, really. It was my own fault. You can call it laziness, call it lack of motivation, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I don't regret how I went about things 2 years ago when I first wanted to start this project. Excuse me. I more so look back at it and think that, it was a missed opportunity. But it's better late than never. I still have plenty of time to make this happen. And, I want to. I intend to. With that being said, though, I don't have forever. Things happen. People move on. Life happens. And I've experienced that since I first started. I've changed a lot since I first wanted to do the show. And I'm still changing. I'm working on changing to become more fulfilled for myself. And, I think this is one step towards that. This is something I've always wanted to do, is create content for people, for enjoyment. And I've always thought about, I've made up excuses on, I can't do it yet. This needs to happen first, and this needs to happen. But it's exactly what they are, is excuses. Is I could have done this like 2 years ago when I really wanted to, if I put my mind to it. But I was lazy. I was unmotivated, truly. Or rather, not motivated enough to make it happen. But I wanted it still. And part of me kind of just hoped that something would fall into my lap, that someone else would make it happen, and it would just happen from there. But I realized after looking back, they say hindsight's 20/20. I was putting in work for it, but not enough. I was putting in work, but I wasn't making it happen. And, I've kind of realized that with a lot of things in my life. And, that's been kind of the theme lately for me is I can put in work to something. There's putting in work and there's making it happen. We can always do more. You can always do better at something. And, I want to do better. Not just at this, but in all aspects of my life. And this is kind of where it led me to now, to kind of jump into now, starting the podcast is, lately I've been trying to be better about myself, been trying to, go to the gym, eat a little better, trying to build better habits in terms, sleep's been rough. I gotta figure that one out. That's another one on the list, but no, just being more organized, more in control of my life, and doing things for myself to improve just my general state of mind and well-being. And I haven't been doing it for long, but I can already feel it paying dividends. I don't, I can be a very paranoid person, and there are times where I certainly let that out, but there's only what I say and what I share, and there's the whole other side that that I don't with people, the internal paranoia, the internal fears. And by working on myself and bettering myself these past few weeks, past month, since I started in this journey, I've been able to control them better already. I've been able to just feel better about myself. I certainly still have my insecurities, for sure, but I feel better about them. And I think I'm going to keep feeling better. The more I keep working on this, my drive, my motivation to do things, to make better things in my life happen, it's going up. And building these better habits, it's just making me feel all around better about myself. And that's part of the reason why, I felt this is the time to bring it back. My head is in the right space, and, something still felt off though, so like something was missing in my life. And it's the creative outlet. I realized that, I need something, some sort of outlet to get out my creativity. And when I don't let that out, I often feel bad about myself. I feel like I could always be doing more. Like I could always be making something, because I have so many ideas, a lot more than I share with people, and by not letting that out, by letting it just build up and fester and just sit in the depths of my mind, it's never going to come to light. And, even though I'm not saying I'm making those ideas happen in this show, but this is just one of them. And it's a step in the right direction. It's progress. It's making something happen. And it's like I said, it's the first step. It's the beginning. And I could say I'm motivated, and I'm more committed, I think, this time to make it happen. And where this all started, last night I was hanging out with some friends, and I was talking with one of them, a good friend of mine. We've been working on some stuff here and there. I'm sure we'll have him on the show at some point to talk about that. But I haven't, my heart hasn't been in it lately, and I've just felt bad about it for that reason. I beat myself up over it because my heart isn't fully in it. It's not invested, but I want it to be. And, he was talking to me about something he's been working on his own. And I could just see the passion in him. I could see it. And he was just saying that, you know, it's been a pain in the butt sometimes, but he feels so good about himself doing it. And it's just, it stuck with me, you know? It really stuck with me. And the next morning, I woke up and, you know, just thinking about what happened, you know, had fun from the night before, what I'm going to do today, getting around, you know, sitting in bed, on my phone, doing whatever mindless thing I did. Don't even remember it, honestly, just because I was, you know, it was a long night. But I know, I was just sitting there thinking, like, about that conversation and just reflecting on it. And I thought to myself, I'm just like, I need to do something. I need to make something happen. And I can right now. And I thought a podcast. I mean, it's easy. It's just sitting down, talking. People know me know I can do that for sure when I want to. And, you know, I had one idea originally of starting a new one. And that's a good idea. And honestly, I might implement it in that one. Or in this show, rather. But, excuse me. No, it's a good idea. And I might implement it into the show at some point. But I had this. The Dbalfe Show. You know, I have it. I already did all the work. I mean, despite, you know, I say word, setting up social media accounts, making logos, whatever. I made a new one today, to kind of reflect, just reboot. Well, it's not really reboot, reattempt to start it. You know, I like the old logo. I do, but I was just thinking something else to kind of symbolize this transition, this change, this new direction, you know, and a new symbol to fit that would be kind of fitting. Plus, I also just, you know, I find it fun hopping into Photoshop every now and then and just designing some logo or something like that. I have a lot of fun with it, you know. And I had, you know, I was inspired. I had this idea in my head of what I wanted it to be, and, you know, I just thought, man, that would look cool. So I was like, why not make a new logo? You know, new logo, same old show, but, well, same old new show, I guess. Old show never happened. But just this show that it's time for change, and it's time to take this seriously, because I intend to. And I've already, you know, been in early stages talking with a few people on who to have on the show, and I still got to do some more reaching out and planning and such, kind of where I'm at right now. I have some ideas for show episodes and such, down the line, some segment ideas, bit ideas, but, you know, for starters, I kind of want to just keep it what this is right now. Something raw, unfiltered. Just, I want to sit down with people that I know, people who are friends, family, acquaintances, and just have a conversation, and with the goal at the end of it, coming out the other side, understanding that person better and getting a glimpse into that person's life, talking about something meaningful. I know, you know, that's pretty basic and cliche, but, and, you know, it's not really an original idea by any means, but, you know, I'm not doing this for clicks. That's the other thing I kind of realized when I was thinking about this today. I want to do this for myself. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. I don't want to do this to get famous. I just want to do this to have fun. And I want to do this because I think it will be fun. Because I think it will help me. And one of the things I love is just sitting down and talking with people. And, you know, whether it's about this topic or that, you know, something I know a lot about, something I'd like to learn about. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I just want to sit down and have a chat. That's it, you know. Whether we come with something pre-planned, some topics we discussed beforehand that we want to put on, whether someone comes on for a specific reason, maybe I plan something, or we just say, hey, hop on, let's talk. It's, you know, kind of what the goal is. I don't want to look at this from a structured point of view so early on. I think that was part of the struggle with the last one, is I had this idea, this structured, complex idea in my head of what I wanted the first show to be. And, you know, there was a good amount of moving parts to make that happen. You know, it was a lot of time, and I certainly could have done it. Don't get me wrong, I could have done it. But it was a lot of what I had planned. You know, it was cool, some of the ideas I had. And I do want to go back to them at some point. But for the sake of not to say doing less work, but to start off slow. Let it build up to that, you know. Just start off with a new idea, something fresh, something a little more natural, something a little more raw is what I'm going for. Something that you can't script, you can't write down. And I think I love the scripted content and such, but I think this will bring a lot more genuine connection, a lot more genuine entertainment. And, you know, whether you find it entertaining or not, that's up to you. I don't care. I'm doing this for me, truthfully. Well, in a sense, in one aspect, and I'll get on that in a minute. But I think just starting somewhere is better than not starting at all. And I can build up to that point where I am doing all that extra stuff at some point. I would like to still do it, but I kind of realize I just need to start somewhere. And if it's as simple as just hopping on a microphone and talking for however long, even if it's just myself about something that I care about, you know, a topic that I'm deeply invested in, or, you know, hopping on with someone else and just having a chat for an hour, 2 hours, however long it goes, and just seeing what happens. And throwing that out there. And if people like it, people like it. If they don't, they don't. You know? And I more than, you know, just to go off that, if you, man, getting dry mouth. Sorry. As I wanted to say, you know, when it comes to people liking something, liking this, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't care if people enjoy it or not. And I say that in a sense of, I do care, but I care in the sense of I want to provide some sort of entertainment value to people. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't, I'm not going to be upset. Because, as I said before, I'm doing this a lot for myself. However, with that being said, the part of the desire for me wanting to make this happen is rooted in my desire to just create forms of entertainment that people enjoy. And that comes from my love of media growing up, and not social media. I quite honestly hate social media. We can save that discussion for another episode. We don't need to go off on a tangent on that now, but I mean entertainment media. TV shows, movies, video games, books, I don't know, radio. Not that I listen to much of that. Music. Art. you could throw in there, but I mean, I don't really care for art, honestly. I don't spend my free time going to some random museum and looking what's on the wall. Personally, if that's your thing, you do you, but I find that quite boring, honestly. And, people put their work into it. It's people, if that's their creative outlet, good for them, but man, I find that boring. Sorry if you're an artist watching this. I don't mean to insult you, but yeah, I'm just not interested in your hobbies. Not to say what you do is a bad hobby. I just don't care about it, quite honestly. But that's the beauty of media. That's the beauty of creating something entertainment or for entertainment. I mean, not everyone is going to like it, and that's okay. Hell, there's a good chance most people won't like it. But as long as you like it yourself, I mean, that's what's important at the end of the day, right? However, like I said, with that being said, when I grew up, I grew up surrounded by media, television, movies, video games mainly. And, watching these stories as I grew up, Star Wars and the superheroes were, as I was growing up as a kid, those were some of the biggest ones for me personally. Early Star Wars, that is, not modern day. We can get into that at some point too. But just watching these IPs, these big brands, and just taking in all the worlds that people create, it's inspiring. And that's kind of what I like the most about them, is that inspiration that they give me to make me want to do something like that. And I know this isn't, making a podcast isn't really building worlds or creating whole universes of whatever the fuck you can think of. It's something, though. It's entertainment. Whether it's good entertainment or not, you can be the judge of that. Tell me in the comments, if this sucks, it sucks. Oh well. But it always had an impact on me. Not just because of, what they meant to me, but what they meant to other people. I mean, you have these huge brands and IPs, for pieces of media entertainment, franchises that just leave such a long-lasting cultural impact on people all across the globe. And it's crazy what a movie or a TV show can do to someone. It's beautiful, honestly, the impact that these pieces of media can have on people. And I want to create that feeling. I realized that a long time ago. Like, that is what I want to do in life, is I want to give people that feeling, that sense of enjoyment, that impact. I want to reach people through some form of entertainment, and I want them to feel something. I want them to feel, and mainly I want them to feel enjoyment, and which is a lot different than happiness, because you're not going to come out of a horror movie necessarily being happy. It's much more complex, like a grotesque film. Like, think of like Joker from 2019. Like, I don't think most people would come out of that movie feeling happy. A lot of people would probably come out feeling disturbed. Man, this is a messed up movie. What did I just watch? But you enjoy it. People still enjoy that. It's not, enjoyment and happiness are not one-to-one. And that's what's so beautiful about, that's what's so inspiring about media, is at the core of its purpose, it's to bring enjoyment, but the other feelings it can cause, so many different feelings: sadness, anger, disgust, or happiness, hope, feeling inspired. the feelings that you can cause with a movie or a TV show or even a video on YouTube is amazing. And that's what I want to do. You know, I'm probably not going to, inspire, disgust. I hope not anger, sadness, any of that from this podcast. That's not the goal. Maybe be a little inspirational from time to time with my words of wisdom, but we'll see. But at the end of the day, I've always looked at that and the power that this entertainment media can hold, and I've wanted to do that for myself. I wanted to give people that feeling as well. I've wanted to give people that sense of enjoyment that I got growing up as a kid and watching all these different movies, TV shows, playing these different video games, and the feelings I would get of just the sense of enjoyment every day. And I want to recreate that. I want to bring that to people. And, whether this show does that or not, I mean, to be determined, but that's going to be the goal. Ultimately, is to provide that sense of entertainment and enjoyment to people. And I'm willing to put the chips down. I'm willing to work at it because it's my goal. And for too long, I've been not doing anything to push that forward. For too long, I've just been kind of waiting around and for me to be in this place where I can make that happen, rather than putting myself out there and putting myself in the place so that it can happen, and I need to change that. I know I need to change that. So there's the other reason why I'm coming back to this podcast, this show, because I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of waiting for something to happen that's going to give me the opportunity to fulfill my dream. I need to create the opportunity. I want to create the opportunity, and I think I'm going to. I know I'm going to, if I just try hard enough with this, and I want to. So from going forward, I mean, wherever the show goes, wherever it ends up happening, the format of this could change episode to episode. There's probably going to be some experimenting early on. Different styles, different bits that come and go. And just till we find and develop the identity of the show. But until then, I mean, I'm going to keep it at its core of what I said, of just this raw kind of conversation, and bring people on that I think I can have a good conversation with, and just kind of see where it goes. I'm not expecting to be famous off of this. I'm not expecting to get any kind of notoriety, any kind of following anytime soon. But even if one person watches, hell, even if 0 people end up watching this, I'll still be happy. I'll still get that enjoyment I was talking about, because I at least did it. I'm at least trying. And that's better than what I can say for the past 2 years from when I started this. That's better than what I can say my entire life in terms of creative outlets. I'm back to trying again. Back to actually chasing after what I want. After the dreams that I've had for a long time, and truly trying to make something happen. And that's been kind of the theme for me lately, is, like, as I said earlier, just trying to make things happen, make life better for myself. And I think this is another step in the right direction. So anyways, going forward, I'm going to give it kind of a breakdown before we end off here, because I've been talking for about 30 minutes now about what the podcast is going to look like. We'll kind of transition to that. In terms of length, I'm not going to put a number on it. You know, as I said, I feel like that deters the goal here for what I want the podcast to be about currently. You know, a conversation could last 10 minutes and be perfect, and it just ends. And I'd be comfortable with uploading that. It could last 5 minutes, and I'd be comfortable with uploading it. Or it could last 2 hours, and I'd be comfortable with uploading that. I don't want to put a number on it because I want it to be natural. So, in terms of length, TBD. We'll see. You know, it's probably going to vary from episode to episode. In terms of uploads and how often I'm going to be doing this. So this is going to be kind of like an episode 0. It'll be called, you'll see. Episode 1 will be with the first guest. I have a few people in mind. I'm still deciding who I want the first guest to be. And I still got to set that in stone. But I got a few people, like I said. I might leave it a surprise. Might not announce it. I don't know. It's not like I'm having a celebrity or something. Maybe someday. Who knows? But from there, once I get a guest, I can sit down and record the first episode, which hopefully will be this week. I would love to get this going. And I want to make it my goal to upload 1 episode a week, just like this, where I'm doing today. And just to make it easy, a raw conversation like this. And once we get that going, I mean, if I really get the ball going and I feel like I have time to do more, maybe switch to 2 episodes, 3 episodes, we'll you know, depending on scheduling and what we can accomplish. But for now, I'm just going to keep it at 1 episode a week. Even if I can record multiple in a week, just to keep it small, start small, make it more realistic, and I'll take it from there. In terms of segments, I have some ideas on stuff. One of the things I really wanted to do with the old podcast was an on the street segment, going around interviewing people, maybe asking stupid questions, whatever I think of that's stupid for that day. I would still like to do that at some point, but just not right now. I don't feel like I have the, how do I put this? I just feel like I don't have the environment to make that possible. I don't live, in a terribly big area to make that a reality, I don't think. So I could definitely make it happen, but I don't think it would be as good as it could be. I don't think it'd be as good as I'd want it to be. And as I said, it doesn't fit the vision right now for what I want to do starting off. But it is something I would like to toy with eventually down the line. In terms of other segments, it's just I have, ideas here and there. Maybe, just fun little games or something to do after a conversation, maybe every now and then. We'll see. I have some ideas there. Might try them out. But other than that, I mean, if you guys, if anyone watches this, have any ideas, feel free to leave comments and message me. I'm open book. I'd love to hear some ideas, genuinely. And if they make it on, they make it on. I'll give you credit somewhere. Other than that, the only other thing is if you want to be on the show, in terms of guests, I said I know I've been reaching out to people and I'm going to keep doing that, but if you want to be on the show, feel free to comment or message me directly. I'm open to having people on. Maybe if there's something you want to talk about specifically, let me know and I can kind of plan for that. Otherwise, we can just go on and have a conversation about stuff, something off the cuff. The only thing I will say that I would just say, if you are going to come at me with a conversation topic, is I would just say no politics. That's going to be kind of the only thing I'm going to try and avoid on the show for now. I just, truthfully, I don't enjoy talking politics, really. There was a point when I did, and there was a point when I really didn't get invested in it. But, lately, I don't think it's worth it. Certain things, they certainly do need to be talked about, but it's back to that enjoyment factor. I don't enjoy talking about politics because oftentimes, you're at least going to disagree with a person on one thing. And sometimes it can be pleasant and respectful, but there are other times where it's just so much, not even out of a place of disrespect for the person that you're talking to, but it's just such a depressing and not enjoyable conversation to have, And that's not what I want to do here on this podcast. I don't want to talk about something that's just going to either get heated or put people down to where they're just ranting and about something, or to where they're just venting about their frustrations with the state of the country, state of the world right now. And, there's a time and place for that. And, people have their opinions. Everyone has, validity to their own opinions. But it's just, that's the one thing I just don't want on the show. I'd much rather talk about something that excites a person or makes them feel good or makes them think. Which politics can, but there are so many other things that can really make someone think about something too, especially from a much more philosophical standpoint and a much more interesting standpoint. It's just politics is also just so, and I know podcasts in general are oversaturated, but politics is such a saturated market as well. And it's just not something I'm interested in right now. It's, I could be in the future, who knows, but it just doesn't appeal to me. And I never have a good feeling when people talk politics, It's never, you never come out of a conversation about politics feeling good. I don't want to say never, but most of the times you don't. So I just rather avoid that for the sake of what I want this show to be. So I know I went off a little tangent there. Just as I was saying, if you want to be on the show, just comment, message me, and what would you want to talk about? Just not politics. But we can figure something out. Try and set up a time. Try and make that happen. I'm open to people being on. And from there, I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, and I'd say this is a pretty good episode 0 so far. And if you stuck all the way through and have been watching this entire time, thank you, first off. The fact that I was able to take up 40 minutes of your time, I appreciate that, genuinely. So thank you for sitting down and listening to this. Please do, if you haven't, subscribe and follow me on social medias. Here's my kind of plug. I'm currently on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. If you have any of those, just give me a follow, please. I would greatly appreciate it. I don't know what kind of content I'm going to put on all of those. Probably some promotional material, with the main show being on YouTube, maybe Spotify if I can get on that. Still figuring that out. We'll get that moving with time. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or this podcast episode. This is episode 0. Once again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. All right, bye.